One thing that Luke usually mentioned at the beginning, and he didn't this time, is if anybody has something to share, anything you no longer need, we'd be glad to share it.
Right.
See if anybody else needs it. Consequently, I've got 6 child seats that I need to find a new home for. My grandkids have outgrown them from various and sundry vehicles and whatever. So they're in good shape, they're clean. There's only one that's got straps to work for a younger one. Most of them are booster seats. But if anybody here could use a booster seat for a child, see me afterwards, and I'd be glad to make them available to you. The funny thing happened on our way to New Zealand. We left Colorado Springs at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Friday and ended up in New Zealand 22 hours later, less than a day, on Sunday. And then coming back someplace in the middle of the Pacific Ocean one day, 2 days, we ended up with 2 Mondays back to back. It's like deja vu. Today is Monday. Today is Monday. The first time that this phenomenon really became apparent was when Magellan sailed around the world the first time, first circumnavigation of the world. He didn't make it all the way home, but one of his boats did. And they kept a pretty good log, and the funny thing is there was a day discrepancy in there, and they had to send a delegation to the Pope to explain how this works and so forth. And I still don't know if I understand it exactly. But anyway, a guy named Bret Harte wrote this story. It has to do somewhat with the Spanish trade between Mexico and the Philippines that went on for 250 years when they controlled the southern hemisphere. It's called the Lost Galleon. In 1641, the regular yearly galleon, laden with odorous gums and spice, India cottons and India rice, and the richest silks of far Cathay, was due at Acapulco Bay. Due she was and overdue, galleon, merchandise, and crew, creeping along through rain and shine, through the tropics, under the line. The trains were waiting outside the walls, the wives of sailors thronged the town. The traders sat by their empty stalls, and the viceroy himself came down. The bells in the tower were all a trip. Te Deums were on each father's lip. The limes were ripening in the sun for the sake of the coming galleon. All in vain. Weeks passed away, and yet no galleon saw the bay. India goods advanced in price. The governor missed his favorite spice. The senoritas mourned for sandal and the famous cottons of Coromandel, and some for an anxious lover lost, and one for a husband, Dona Julia, wife of the Captain Tempest-tossed, in circumstances so peculiar. Even the fathers unawares grumbled a little at their prayers, and all along the coast that year votive candles were scarce and dear. Never a tear bedims the eye that time and patience will not dry. Never a lip is curved with pain that can't be kissed into smiles again. And these same truths, as far as I know, obtained on the coast of Mexico several hundred years ago, in 1651, 10 years after the deed was done and folks had forgotten the galleon. The divers plunged in the Gulf for pearls, white as the teeth of the Indian girls. The traders sat by their full bazaars. The mules with many a weary load, and oxen dragging their creaking cars, came and went on the mountain road. Where was the galleon all this while? Wrecked on some lonely coral isle? Burnt by the roving sea marauders, or sailing north under secret orders? Or had she found the Anian passage, famed by lying Maldonado's claim, and sailed through the 65th degree direct to the North Atlantic Sea? Or had she found the River of Kings, of which De Fonte told such strange things in 1640? Never a sign, east or west or under the line, they saw of the missing galleon. Never a sail or plank or chip they found of the long-lost treasure ship, or enough to build a tale upon. But when she was lost, and where and how, are the facts we're coming to just now. Take, if you please, the chart of that day, published at Madrid, Port El Rey. Look for a spot in the old South Sea, the 180th degree, longitude west of Madrid. There, under the equatorial glare, just where the east and west are one, you'll find the missing galleon. You'll find the San Gregorio yet, right in the seas with sails all set, fresh as upon the very day she sailed from Acapulco Bay. How did she get there? What strange spell kept her hundreds of years so well, free from decay and mortal taint? What but for the prayers of a patron saint? 100 leagues from Manila town, the San Gregorio's helm came down. Round she went on her heel, and not a cable's length from a galleon that rocked on the waters just abreast of the galleon's course, which was west-southwest. Then said the galleon's commandante, General Pedro Sobriante, that was his rank on land and main, a regular custom of old Spain. My pilot is dead of scurvy. May I ask the longitude, time, and day? The first are given and compared. The third, the commandante stared. The 1st of June, I make it 2nd, said the stranger. Then you've wrongly reckoned. I make it 1st. As you came this way, you should have lost, you see, a day. Lost a day, as plainly see, on the 180th degree. Lost a day? Yes. If not rude, when did you make his longitude? On the 9th. Come on. On the 9th of May, our Patron's Day. On the 9th, ye had no 9th of May. 8th and 10th was there. But stay. Too late, for the galleon bore away. Gone was the day they should have kept, lost unheeded and lost unwept. Lost in a way that made search vain, lost in a trackless and boundless main. Lost like the day of Job's awful curse in his 3rd chapter, 3rd and 4th verse. Wrecked was their patron's only day. What would the Holy Father say? Said the Fray Antonio Esteban, the galleon's chaplain, a learned man. Nothing is lost that you can regain, and the way to look for a thing is plain. To go where you lost it, back again. Wait till the rolling year goes round, and there will the missing day be found. For you'll find, if computation's true, that sailing east will give to you not only 1 9th of May, but 2. 1 for the good saint's present cheer, and 1 for the day we lost last year. Back to the spot sailed the galleon, where for a 12-month, off and on, the 180th degree, she rose and fell on a tropic sea. But lo, when it came to the 9th of May, all of a sudden becalmed she lay. 1 degree from that fatal spot, without the power to move a knot. And of course, the moment she lost her way, gone was her chance to save that day. To cut a lengthening story short, she never saved it. Made the sport of evil spirits and baffling wind. She was always before or just behind, 1 day too soon or 1 day too late. And the sun, meanwhile, would never wait. She had 2 8s as she idly lay, 2 10ths, but never a 9th of May. And there she rides through hundreds of years of dreary penance and anxious fears. Yet through the grace of the saint she served, captain and crew are still preserved. By a computation that still holds good, made by the Holy Brotherhood, the San Gregorio will cross that line in year 2039. Just 400 years to a day from the time she lost the 9th of May, and the folk in Acapulco town, over the waters looking down, will see in the glow of the setting sun the sails of the missing galleon, and the gleaming And the royal standard of Philip Ray, the gleaming mast and glistening spar, as she nears the surf of the outer bar. A Te Deum sung on a crowded deck, an odor of spice along the shore. A crash, a cry from a shattered wreck, and the yearly galleon sails no more in or out of the olden bay, for the blessed patron has found his day. Such is the legend, hear this truth. Over the trackless path somewhere lie the lost days of our tropic youth, only regained by faith and prayer, only recalled by prayer and plaint. Each lost day has its patron saint.